Thank you, Rose, for the introduction, and I think that you have saved part of time of the session instead of introducing the main goal of this session. First of all, I would like to thank AmCham for giving me this opportunity actually to chair a session that tackling one of the major interesting points, and that's considered to be, I think, it could be the fastest track to enhancing and boosting the economic growth in Jordan, which is growing, and export growth, which is considered to be as a tool to create jobs, to create economic growth. And I would like to seize this opportunity at the same time to appreciate and to highlight in our partnership as a Jordan Chamber of Industry and Tijara coalition. And before I'm going actually to introduce our speakers for this session, just allow me to highlight on a few major facts about our exports and to highlight that the issues that have been already highlighted within the opening through our remarkable speakers during the opening session when they highlighted the importance and how the trade developed between Jordan and the United States before and after the free trade agreement. And in addition to that, how this free trade agreement considered to be one of the most important, if it's not the most important, free trade agreement that we had, and this could be realized out through the trade balance between our both countries. Excuse me. But let me first of all, actually, I would like to highlight in two major points only for the exports, and I think these gentlemen whom we have in the panel now, they need to highlight on this, and these two facts actually, it's considered to be quite important facts that we have to focus on. And these two major facts as well, I think it raises heavily to what extent that we need some kind of coordination, not only in our exports to the United States, but in all of our exports. So if we refer back to the first 4 months out of this year, we have been realized that our exports have been increased by 5.3% comparing with the same period for the last year. But the major important point I would like to highlight it directly, despite that our exports reach more than 130 markets all over the world, but we have to admit that there is only 19 countries, 90% of our exports, it's only directed to 19 countries. 90% of our exports, it's only went to 19 countries. In addition to that, this means that we have a geographical concentration of our exports in certain markets, and I think it's somehow obvious for everybody which these markets are. In addition to that, 14 products, 14 products they are around 75 or 3/4 of our exports, more or less. 75% of our exports are concentrated in 14 items or in 14 products up to 2 digits. I'm talking here up to 2 digits according to the HS code, so as to make it clear for everyone. So I think these two major facts, I think it needs to be highlighted and taken into consideration when we are going to talk about the major issues that we have here. Despite that, I have been preparing my questions in Arabic because I realized that all of the speakers are Jordanians, and allow me first of all to introduce our speakers. His Excellency Mr. Fareedon Hartouka, Acting Chairman of Jordan Investment Commission. His Excellency Dr. Bashar Zubi, CEO of JEDCO. His Excellency Dr. Loay Suhweil, Chairman of Jordan Enterprise and the Chairman of Mudun Sana'iyya. In addition to that, His Excellency Mr. Abdessalam Obeidat, Transportation and Logistics Services in ATC. So for this, I think somehow throughout of the names that we have just mentioned, I think that we have clearly to what extent where we want to go out of this session. which is our major title, I think, that we have to focus on, is the coordination. And it's obvious and clear, but allow me first of all to start with Mr. Fareedon Hartouka and to ask about mainly the plans and the programs that the JIC have to enhance and to promote Jordanian exports, mainly in the US markets and in general, of course, because when we are talking about exports, I think we would like to focus out of this Tijara coalition, because the ultimate goal of Tijara coalition is to focus on Jordanian and the trade relations between both countries, I mean. But I think we have to take the whole picture in general as a whole, and how you can, in addition to that, I would like to highlight the inbound missions. Will it be taken into consideration as well in the future plans, and how this would affect the plans that you might have, so as to try to link all of the answers with each other. Thank you.
It's good evening, everyone. Thank you for AmCham for organizing this, and thank you for the Tijara Commission and my colleagues and friends. Very briefly, the GIC is the investment arm of the Jordanian government, and in addition to its role to attract foreign investments, also until now at least, we are responsible for promotion, for export promotion as well. Before going into the details of answering Dr. Mahrouq questions, I would like to emphasize on the importance of the relationship between the investment and the exports. And to be realistic, we know that the Jordanian market is a small market. We're talking about 10 million people. Therefore, when we are promoting investments to Jordan and attracting investments to Jordan, we also emphasize on the importance of utilizing the FTAs that Jordan has to penetrate major markets, as mentioned previously, around 1 million consumers. And therefore, we emphasize on the importance of utilizing these treaties. As you know, we have the FTA with the US, which is the oldest one. We have with Canada, we have the GAFTA, and then we have with Singapore. Unfortunately, until now, with all the positive numbers that we are seeing, especially the US FTA agreement, I think these FTAs are not fully utilized. I think there are so much we can benefit from, especially when it comes to exports in different sectors actually. And therefore, we really need to work more on utilizing and on these free trade agreements. It's very important that we have a role model of these free trade agreements with the US. And I lived free trade agreements since 2000 and almost one. And then I saw the increase of the mutual benefits between the two countries reaching to $3 billion of trade, and I think still we can do more to increase this number. And here I would like to thank USAID, AmCham, and the US Embassy for their support in the last at least 20 years or less, taqriban 18 years in supporting the FTA. It's very important that to utilize this FTA and as a role of JIC to work with partners, and this is exactly what we do when we plan our support for the exports in Jordan. We work with the chambers, we work with the associations, and we coordinate with them actually on all levels to make sure that we reach to all the markets that are important to Jordan, to make sure that we reach out to most of the sectors that are important to Jordan. And we have several success stories. Our support as GIC comes either through something we organize ourselves as Jordanian Pavilions, or we're supporting the companies going out with the associations or the chambers. And we have done several of that, either with the Jordan Chamber of Industry, we've done that with the AmCham, we've done that with Jordanian Exporters Associations, and so forth. And we are seeing the result. I will talk a little bit outside the US Jordan FTA. We have a very good example and success stories that we are building new markets such as Africa. We've been working on Africa since 2016, and we are seeing the increase of exports to Africa, either through going as trade missions or as we are going to exhibit and so forth. Therefore, it's very important to emphasize on the continuation of the coordination with our partners to build on the successes that we have and to also increase these successes, either if we are talking about new markets, as you mentioned, to increase them, even though let's increase the 19 markets at least, and also we have to increase the number of products. 14, we have to increase them. I think the people sitting here complement each other. GIC has a role, JEDCO has a role, and now Enterprise Jordan has a role. And through working together and coordinating our efforts between each other first and then with our partners is very, very important. I can see actually the added value that will be brought into the table in working together, and all of that will reflect at the end on the benefits of that Jordanian export will increase hopefully. And not only that, the export readiness for our companies, the capacity building for our companies, the know-how, the branding, the studies that are needed. So actually, the export process is a matrix of different components that needs to fill to complement each other to reach the success that we are looking for.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fareedon. And just I would like to highlight an outcome out of the research paper that have been executed by Jordan Chamber of Industry and the International Trade Center that says we do have unrealized potential exports with around 4.2 billion US dollars. This could create 178,000 jobs, and this is by utilizing only the resources and the factories and just by using the local or the current resources that we have right now. And this could give you an indication to which level that we do need some kind of coordination, and to what extent it's important actually to create this level of coordination to make sure that we are able to seize these opportunities. And this could lead me to Dr. Bashar Zubi, CEO of JEDCO, to ask directly out of the words that we have listened to from Mr. Fareedon, that utilization of the FTA and mainly the FTA with the United States, how can JEDCO play a role in utilizing the free trade agreements and in opening up new markets for the Jordanian exports, so as to create or to find a way how we could create a link between these organizations, and if there is anything in the horizons that could happen in the future, and what you can tell us about the new initiatives that you might have in JEDCO, please.
Thank you, Dr. Maher. I will start by actually illustrating the strategic role of JEDCO in enhancing the competitiveness of the SMEs. This has been materialized in actually designing, launching and implementing several programs aiming to increase access to the international markets and boosting the business linkages, which is actually extremely important. And as you know, the SMEs is representing more than 92% of our enterprises here in the country. But these SMEs are facing several challenges, among those accessing the new markets and the growth. So we will be helping, actually working with these SMEs, which will be the backstone of our economy, in supporting their activities towards more internationalizations and toward more generating jobs, and to expand their activities in terms of products, in terms of, let me say, generating more jobs, in terms of accessing a new market. We at JEDCO, we are working in several programs. The first one, we are working in what we call it a growth acceleration program, through which we are providing non-financial support to the SMEs. Recently, actually in 2018, we selected 16 SMEs, those who have high, let me say, export potential to the US markets. and export acceleration plan was established for each SME. So it's a demand-driven. We tailor these programs according to the need of SMEs. It's not just a standard plan, it's individual plans for each company which meet actually their demands and can enhance their potential to grow and to access to the international markets. The impact of the above program, 30 million GD increase in annual turnover, representing 10% increase on average, 16 million increase in exports, representing 16% in average, 28 million increase in local sales, and 810 new jobs were created. So this actually a great impact by the program, showing that how these programs are important, the financial as well as the non-financial. On the financial side, we just launched last December a program that initiated by the government of Jordan and totally financed by the government of Jordan, aiming to provide financial support to the companies who have the export readiness. 92 companies have applied, 29 were selected from different industrial sectors. The aim is to support them with 50,000 GD each, which will actually enable them to access the new markets. Next week, and specifically on the 1st of August, we'll be launching 2 additional programs. One for targeting the service sector, another one targeting the industrial sector. We are aiming to select 20 companies from each sector. So we invite all the companies to apply, and we'll provide the companies from the industrial sectors with the 50,000 GD as a grant, and the companies from the service sector with 25,000 GD as a grant. So these sectors will be focusing on the IT, ICT, and engineering and art. A third program, which is actually how we can import substitution. So how we can help the companies who are exporting to take their components from their local counterparts, not just depending on imports. So we need to increase the local ingredients among the Jordanian products, to have it more sophisticated, to have it actually more meeting the demand of the international market. This is another program we are thinking, and I hope that we can cooperate with the private sector, and specifically with the chambers of Amman and Jordan, that we can launch this together. And this will represent a great public-private dialogue, not just at the institution and policy level, but also at the implementation level. And with the help also with the Enterprise Jordan, we are aiming to have new means and also to have the donors on board for such activities. The last thing, and I think you agree with me, Dr. Maher, that we need to increase the base of those companies who are exporting. Only 300 companies that are exporting right now. We need to launch a program to actually enter new companies to the club. Not just these 300 companies. We need to help the small SMEs company that didn't export before, to help them to export for the first time. We will be providing them with both non-financial and financial support, and we are aiming to allocate budget for this program. This actually, in a nutshell, what JEDCO is planning to do for this year, or let me say, for the next few months. The ideas are, come up, especially by the colleagues who are working in JEDCO for a long time. They actually accumulate all the expertise which can help us in moving forward. And I look for a great partnership with the private sector, either with the AmCham or with the chambers, industrial and trade chambers, that we can capitalize on untapped opportunities and open new channels of cooperation.
Thank you, Dr. Bashar. And before moving to Dr. Suhweil, just I would like to highlight an initiative that we are going to launch on the Chamber of Industry after tomorrow, that comes out of a project that we have executed with the EU to target and to enhance and to utilize the relaxing rules of origin agreement that have been signed between the Jordanian government and the EU. And it's going to be on Thursday to launch a new unit that comes after a project, and we are going to have it as a sustainable services to deliver direct services to our members, which is called Jordan Industrial Export Services. This just to make Enterprise Jordan much and more difficult in terms of coordination. So before that, I prefer actually to highlight it before I'm giving the floor to Dr. Suhweil. And in addition to this, actually, the question which is Jordan Enterprise, what it's going to do in this regard. There is too many players in the ground, where it is now, and where we are going with Jordan Enterprise, and how is the picture could be looks like in the near future. I know it's quite a big questions. I know it's quite a visionary issues might be so far, and I would like if there is a role that they are going to play or are going to play in terms of expanding or create the linkages that just been mentioned by Dr. Zubi to create or to encourage the local business to use the local ingredients. At this level, are we going to work up to this level or expanding the export culture in addition to the major issue that it's already, I think it's clear in your mind. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you. To start with, thank you for Tijara Coalition and for the AmCham and all the different partners for arranging such activity. From what you guys have mentioned so far, we were debating about changing the name. We're definitely changing the name because a lot of you keep Enterprise Jordan to the Enterprise. So to start with, the whole concept was created from best international practices that export development and export support is led by private sector. Thus, the organization cooperation between the chambers and the government of Jordan established a private entity called Enterprise Jordan, but we are in the branding stage. So what is the whole idea of this organization? This organization today, and I will please emphasize what I'm saying when I say today, 51% is owned by the chambers, 49% is owned by the government of Jordan, which will probably go down with time, to a level where the private sector decide where the private sector interests are. We all know, and thanks to His Excellency Mr. Fareedon, that at the end of the day, the main objective is job creation via exports and investment. That's all our target for all of us here. So Enterprise Jordan will be the house for increasing exports and upgrading or supporting or developing companies to be export ready. How are we going to do that in a nutshell? We're not here to, as an organization, to overcome any of the current organization. What's going to happen is streamlining of processes. So to start with, for example, we recognize Tijara Coalition as an important partner. At the same time, we have several members within the Tijara Coalition who have good expertise that we will depend on them. For example, AmCham as an example, they have knowledge in the US market, we'll recognize them as a partner. So let me simplify the process. This organization will be a lean, transparent organization based on scientific dialogue. We will identify what sectors we're looking at based on scientific research that JCP USA today is helping us looking at a business plan. To be clear, we're not only looking at the manufacturing sector, we're looking at all the sectors with export potential. We truly believe by the end of next month, we will officially launch Enterprise Jordan. By end of December, we will have an event, we will provide the services and what services, the timeline that will be introduced. We will introduce the services through several partners. For example, JEDCO, JIC, AmCham, Jordan Export Association, to name a few, Jordan Chamber of Industry. So the whole idea was, based on international experiences, based on donors' requests, there will be a hub where all the different programs, all different money, whether it was governmental money, aid money, private sector money, will come into this organization and will be funded with the main objective of increasing exports of Jordan via the partnership with the stakeholders in the areas they know. It will be legal framework developed, for example, between us and JEDCO, just to name, where we look what are the expertise of JEDCO. JEDCO will outtake some of these activities. What are the expertise of AmCham? What are the expertise of JIC, Jordan Chamber of Industry? Just to let you know where we are right now. The company, a board was formed in June. We have developed the business plan. We have developed the organizational structure. We are currently in the process of hiring the staff. And we're starting by hiring the CEO. We're looking at getting top-notch person who have export experience so we can transfer the knowledge. We're looking at a maximum organization at the peak of 25 people. So we're not creating at the peak, and I'm saying at the peak 2-3 years from today. We're looking by 2022 to have all our services launched and fully funded. I'm glad to say that when we talk to donors, they are looking positively at private sector, leading private sector activities. They're thrilled to know that the approach is through partnership with different stakeholders. We'll definitely work on the US market as one of our target markets, because as I said earlier, we're looking at scientific dialogue approach, and Dr. Maher said the potential is 4.2 billion out of current existing companies, not without bringing new investment. It's not a difficult job as long as we have good partners, by the way. We have a lot of arms in Jordan. All we just need is to streamline the processes. And I guess I won't take much of your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Loay. And before I'll come back to you again, I think I have a question. But let me first of all move to another part of the process or the chain of exporting, which is without logistics and transportation, all of this circle will not be completed by all means. And just I would like to ask Mr. Obeidat if he can tell us about if there is any new plans, initiatives, programs that you might have for enhancing or encouraging the Jordanian exporters, mainly, and of course to encourage the trade relations by in both ways, I mean, but our focus is on exports. And I would like to highlight when I'm saying exports here, despite that I'm used to prefer and to mention that we are preferring always the industrial exports because it consists almost 90% of our national exports, but here we are talking about exports in general and focusing in the US markets due to the Tijara coalition that we are meeting for today. And but again, our other markets are extremely targeted markets for us because we have to look for every single opportunity. And I will stop it here because I don't want to move actually to return back to export. I will leave the floor for you, Mr. Abdessalam, please.
Thank you, Dr. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. Good afternoon, everybody. Just, Dr., allow me first to thank or extend my thanks to AmCham and His Excellency Mr. Bataini for inviting and considering ADC in such valuable event. Actually, personally, I am very impressed in AmCham activities in Jordan and their contribution to Jordan economy as a whole, and also many thanks for AmCham teams. On the other hand, and I stand here on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Bashar, and allow me to convey his thanks or his greetings to you all. And he is actually in charge in welcoming and receiving a ministerial visit to Aqaba today, headed by His Excellency the Prime Minister, and with participant with Dr. Hamouri, the Minister of Trade, Industry and Supply. Before talking about the subject of this session, and just let me give a highlight regarding Aqaba. Aqaba, which is as a special economic zone, and as you know, the global trend nowadays is to enhancing the special economic zone for the benefit of industry sector. As you, most of us know that the Aqaba Special Economic Zone was established in 2001 as a governmental initiative in 2001, and it is a duty-free, low-tax, multi-sector zone development zone. The ACEs are regulated by a governmental entity, Aqaba Special Economic Zone Authority, and which is mandated with all required authorities for such duty. Aqaba Development Corporation, which I am the manager of the transportation and logistics in the company, the corporation, was launched actually in 2004 as a central development arm for assets, and it's owned 100% of the government of Jordan, divided between Ministry of Finance and ACES. And it is mandated to develop assets and build a new infrastructure and require superstructure, expanding the existing utilities in terms of transportation, maritime, seaports, and logistics, and all major parcels. ACISA actually and ADC are deeply committed to the objective of turning Aqaba into a competitive international investment location by creating a streamlined investment environment, encouraging private sector participation in all aspects of the zone development and operations. Nowadays we have 12 several seaport terminals operated by six main operators with several nationality, either Jordanian or foreigner. Our success story of Aqaba Container Terminal. We have now a worldwide operator, ABM Terminal. We have a partnership and joint venture with this well-known operator to operate our container terminal, and as you know, it is the sole and only seaport in Jordan. And as you know, no efficient export without no efficient transportation, and mainly either land transportation or maritime transportation. For this purpose, ADC owns all the ports, airports, and the strategic parcel in terms of logistics in Aqaba. And we experienced it within 18 years, starting from 2001 till now, several stages of development of our port community and logistic community, which was not done before establishing the zone as an economic zone. Now we have an efficient platform of logistics and an efficient platform of seaport terminals, and an excellent capacity. So we have enough capacity to accommodate all exporting boxes, containers, and either dry bulk, general cargo, or what type of cargo. In terms of supporting and granting some initiatives for the exporters, recently we decided to grant a discount for the exported containers from assets from the Aqaba Special Economic Zone. We started as a pilot project, and then we will evaluate the impact of this such a grant to expand the grant to be to the whole export industry in Jordan. So we gave 50% on the terminal handling charge in the container terminal. Another privilege we gave it, we have a special free storage days for the exporting boxes. We believe that there is some obstacles facing the exporter, so they have they need always a time to stay his boxes inside the terminal. So we gave 7 days free storage days in the container terminal before loading on the vessel. In the meantime, also we have a special tariff for the handling the exporter containers as a whole, which is below the tariff of importing container. So for the purpose of exporting to the U.S. market, also I think you know that we accommodate a scanner machine inside the terminal, inside the container terminal. It is just for scanning the whole containers exported to U.S. market. So all containers are secured, scanned before loading on the vessel. These are the major initiatives we took till now. And in the pipeline, nowadays, the global trend is regarding the digital economy. We are conducting a consultation exercise to create or establish a special platform or legislation platform for digital economy in Aqaba in terms of e-commerce, e-logistics, and to establish or found an incubator, business incubator for the entrepreneurs in terms of e-commerce and e-logistics, on the concept of plug and play concept to facilitate the entrepreneurs in terms of technology advances. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Obeidat. Just I would like to to clarify and to make sure that the incentives that you are providing in terms of discounting rates of the prices and the free days, it's only for the exporters from Aqaba Special Economic Zone or for the whole exporters? And when we can expect it to have it for the whole exporters?
We have three types of incentives. One is just designated for Aqaba exported containers, and the second and third is for the whole exporting industry.
We considered ourselves somehow.
Within months, we will evaluate the first privilege and we will expand it, inshallah.
Thank you. Allow me just to refer back before I have only a final. I was planning to ask 3 questions, but actually I know that we do have time limits. I have one question, which is all of such efforts that we just heard, and all of the different efforts and initiatives from different agencies and governmental organizations, and the plans that Enterprise Jordan have in the future. Do you think that we do need at this moment or in a later stage, I don't know when, do we need an export strategy? Because I think coordinating or streamlining, as you prefer to mention, Dr. Loay, streamlining the processes within these huge number of players, would it be that easy as long as, I don't know to what extent Jordan or Enterprise Jordan have, have a power or a strong teeth to push or to enforce, if it's allowed me to use these words, to enforce the other players to commit it to the role that or the streamlining the process that you are thinking of, or we need a national export strategy that could actually create some kind of commitment from all players to identify what are the potential markets or the targeted markets that we have to focus on, and what are the targeted products that we have to focus on, because continuous, I think, to continue exporting the traditional products with a minimal value added, I think would not create the benefit that everybody is looking for. So how we can, what this strategy could help?
Well, thank you. To be clear, Enterprise Jordan will streamline processes based on best international practice. But as of today, or as of beginning of next year, we're good to go because we have so many stakeholders that are not the typical stakeholders, but actual partners with actual agreements. Why are some of you in business are successful? Because you make an agreement with your partner, you either deliver, you continue, you don't deliver, you don't continue. As simple as this. And today, by the end of this year, we'll have agreements ready in and out, both ways with different organizations that currently exist. With respect to the government today, actually, with respect to the export policy, they have formed a committee where all of us are part of it today. As a Council of Ministers decision, actually is led by Enterprise Jordan, headed to chair this committee, again to emphasize the importance of the private sector in developing the export strategy for the country. Now, again, this is not a document that will come out in a month or two, but it's going to be a collaborative effort. If you go back to the first sentence I said, we will be driven by a scientific dialogue approach, where we'll utilize the strength for each one of the different stakeholders or partners. As His Excellency, again, I'm going to refer to Mr. Fareedon, saying the relation between exports and investment is hand in hand with one objective of creating jobs and prosperity for Jordanians. So yes, to answer your question, yes, there is going to be a new export strategy based, and it's actually today supported by the GIZ, to be clear, based on different stakeholders. I don't envision it will be out before the beginning of next year. It will look at certain policies and activities done, for example, by Jordan Chamber of Industry. But again, I have to emphasize, I know you want it to be more industry focused, but you're looking at a national interest where agriculture is important, service is important, transport is important. And today there's a lot of good documents, for example, that needs tweaking and have some good ideas, whether it was the business plan developed and the roadmap by JCP under development, the Harvard paper. The work has been done by the ITC, a lot of work has been done with GIC, and a lot of work has been done with JEDCO. His Excellency Dr. Bashar just mentioned, we're not stopping till Enterprise Jordan comes up to life. He actually launched activities today. Now it's just basically streamlining these processes So today we want the company or the private sector to know there is one entity they go to it with so many arms. So their reference will be Enterprise Jordan that will tell them, for example, if you're going to a fair, for example, in the US, our partner is AmCham. So it's clear, because there, as you said, there are certain players in the private sector who know how to play the game. The rest get confused. So the whole idea of Enterprise Jordan is to remove the confusion.
Mr. Fareedon, if you have any final comments before we are moving to the audience, if they have any questions.
I want to emphasize on what Dr. Loay said. I know you are biased for the manufacturing side of the panel, but services is very important. Medical tourism is very important. So it's not only one part of, it's the whole spectrum of what Jordan can export to the world. Thank you.
Dr. Bashar, if you have any.
I just would like to highlight that we are talking about existing companies that have the readiness to export, and this is extremely good. But also we need to focus on the ideas that can actually grow, that they have the potential from the startup phase to become, move from micro, small to large. And this actually, we need a cooperation of not just the private sector, also the public sector. As Mr. Fareedon talk about investments, we need to link the investment with exports. They have great investment maps with great ideas distributed among different governorates. So if we can capitalize on this, that we can start with these investment maps, creating new businesses, that they have the potential to diversify the new products that the other markets are needing. You were just talking about, we have concentrations not just in market but also in products. So if we can have new businesses that have new ideas, and these ideas reflect the specification of our economy, I think by this we can move forward.
Thank you, Doctor, and my colleagues. I think it's all about competitive advantage. And also, we need to put ourselves in the position of the importer of our goods, or your clients, like the clients of Jordanian exporters. And to ask a question, one single question, why to import Jordanian products or services? Once you can answer this question, you can start building an exporting strategy for the next 5-10 years. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much for our speakers.